Hi, I'm Sanchita Daswani, a nutrition consultant for babies and toddlers. And my journey really began with my experience with my kids. So I have twins and they're going to be 5 years old. And I remember when I was starting solids for them, it was a very daunting experience. My pediatrician was telling me one thing, my parents were saying another, Instagram was saying one more thing. And I was feeling really confused and overwhelmed. So I ended up just following one book and my kids were doing okay. And then suddenly, when they turned 1.5, they stopped eating everything. And I was like, oh my God, have I done something wrong? Am I a bad parent? And I started looking a little bit more into nutrition for kids. And I realized that as adults, we're so focused on nutrition now. But what we don't realize is that actually nutrition for kids is so important because a lot of times our relationship with food is based on the way we ate as kids. And our kids are growing so fast. And why isn't anyone placing more importance to this? And I tried to speak to a few nutritionists. I went back to my doctor. They give you a very basic outline. And I was like, there has to be more. And I wish I had someone who could help me. And that really paved the way for me to become certified. And I did a degree where we focus only on what babies and toddlers need to make sure that they triple their birth weight when they turn one, to make sure that they enjoy meal times and that they learn the skills of eating, because that is what is actually setting their foundation for health and growth. So I'm so happy now because I get to share this knowledge. I get to clear all the confusion. I get to be that one-on-one support to parents, which I didn't have, and I wish I did. When you have a baby, we have to remember that the first year of life, milk is the primary source of nutrition because it's a quick, easy way for them to get all the nutrients they need. And they're also tripling their birth weight in the first year. So when they reach around 6 months, that's when we can start introducing solids. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who are suggesting to introduce solids at 4 months. But if you actually look at the biggest organizations in the world, like the World Health Organization and the American Academy of Pediatrics, they actually state to start solids around 6 months and not earlier. Why? Because we want to make sure that a baby is ready to start, that they can digest the food, that they can work on those skills of eating. So there's 4 signs that we really want to look at. So the first one is that your baby can sit with minimal support because it's very important for safety when they're picking up the spoon, they're picking up the finger food, that they're not wobbling so that they can actually safely chew the food. They don't need to sit up fully on their own, but just be comfortable on the high chair. The second thing is they should be able to pick up things and put it in their mouth. So that skill should be there so they can pick up the spoon and the food. The third thing is they should show an interest in food. You'd be want them to look at food and want to eat that because that will be so much easier for them. When you put the food in front of them, they'll be excited about it. And the fourth thing is you want to make sure that tongue thrust reflex is diminished. So you'll notice around 4 or 5 months, babies start sticking their tongue out. So this generally goes away around 6 months. And the reason this is important is because if they're taking a spoon and putting it in their mouth, you don't want them sticking their tongue out. So once your child meets these four, then they're really ready for solids. And this all happens around 6 months. So you have two concepts of feeding. You have baby-led weaning and spoon feeding. And baby-led weaning is all the rage now. But we have to remember that baby-led weaning is not a new concept. So before purees and all were introduced, back in the day, you think parents were actually steaming and pureeing everything? No, they were offering their kids regular homemade foods that were mashed. But actually, what happened is in the 1920s, a lot of moms were going to the doctors and saying, look, I'm not getting enough milk. What do I do? So instead of the doctor saying, oh, take on formula, they were saying, well, offer your baby food. But the baby was only 3 or 4 months old. So what do you feed a baby? You feed a baby semi-solids or pureed foods. And all the companies, baby companies came in and said, yes, this is how we're going to make money. That's how the rice cereal, all these food pouches came about. But actually, baby-led weaning is something that was always done. And it's just these companies trying to market different ways of offering food. So the thing is with spoon feeding, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, You want to offer your child, not everyone's comfortable with their kid eating themselves. But the issue with spoon feeding, what tends to happen is the baby will take 1, 2 bites and then suddenly they close their mouth and parents start to panic. So then we start forcing them and then they don't like meal times and then it becomes a disaster. So that's why baby led weaning has become popular. And baby led weaning is basically when you put 2 to 3 pieces of finger food in front of them and you take a step back. So the baby has to pick it up, put it in their mouth, and figure it all out. So the parent can't even force them because they are not in control. So that's why a lot of people are moving towards baby led weaning, because it shows that it will help kids actually develop a good relationship with food because there's no forcing. Parents allow them to have that time to learn to build those skills of eating. And to be honest, with my clients, we do a combination approach. So the main focus is focus on baby led. So if you want to do spoon feeding, if you want to do baby led weaning, there's no right or wrong way, but just make sure that your baby is in control and there's no forcing. So the thing is that with baby-led weaning, all babies can chew food because a lot of times parents get nervous. Oh, they need teeth to chew. Their gums are very strong. So there's 3 things that need to happen. Number 1, your baby needs to sit upright so they're safe and not leaning back. Number 2 is they need to put the food in their mouth themselves because when they put the food, the brain gets a signal and it activates the gag reflex. So all babies have a gag reflex in front of their mouth. So some babies are strong, gag reflex is stronger than others. So you'll notice some babies are not choking, but they're gagging more than other babies because they're more sensitive to any food coming in the mouth. So a lot of parents get confused between gagging and choking. So as long as you are preparing a safe finger food, which is a long stick and soft squishable pieces, it is safe to give your baby finger foods from 6 months. And in fact, it's great because even if they're gagging, you will notice that the food will either melt in their mouth or they will spit it out because that gag reflex is not going to allow food to go to the back. I want to talk a little bit about we have baby led weaning and spoon feeding, right? So, what really works well with my clients is a combination approach. So, it's called a baby led approach because, end of the day, you might put 3 pieces of carrots in front of your child and your child will take it, squeeze it, and throw it. So, not all kids are going to take to baby led weaning. Of course, that's the goal, but it doesn't happen. And a lot of parents are still very nervous about it. So, what I like to do is I like to do few tablespoons of puree and the finger food as well, so that you're giving your baby a chance to work with both the spoon and the finger so they can actually see what food looks like. So only kids are only given puree food. And when they turn 1, we put broccoli in their fried rice and they freak out. What is this green thing? We've never seen it before. So doing both allows your child to learn both skills and also takes off the pressure. So if they prefer the spoon or finger food, it's okay. You've given them both. At least they're going to work on that a skill. So what we do is a whole routine. So the first thing I want you to start with is once you figure out what if you're gonna offer your child breakfast or lunch, I want you to say, okay, we're gonna have lunch now, and I want you to do a pre-meal time ritual. Clear out the toys, take your child to the bathroom, wash their hands, say, do you want this bib or that bib? They're not gonna answer, but because you do that every day, in their mind, they'll be like, oh, food is coming, instead of just taking them and putting them in the high chair. The next thing is I want you to bring the high chair to the dining table where you guys eat, where they've seen you eat. So they're like, oh, now I'm part of this. When you put them in the high chair, the food should already be there. Babies do not have patience. They are not going to wait. So make sure there's a little bit, not too much. They will throw it. And I want you don't need to eat your meals with them. But if you're offering your child carrot, I want you to put some carrot for you on the side. Why? Because how do babies learn? Number 1, babies learn through play. So I want to make sure your baby can get into that food, get messy, use their senses to get comfortable. And the second thing is, how will he know what to do with the finger food? By watching you eat. So you pick up that carrot, you put it in your mouth so that eventually your child will be like, oh, if my mom is putting it in my mouth or my dad is in his mouth, oh, it's safe. It's okay for me. And oh, that's how you chew. And oh, wow, we're eating together. So whatever you're offering your child, make sure you make it an engaging experience where you're eating with them as well. And the spoon, give them a few spoons, give them a finger food in their hand, let them figure it out. eat in front of them. And once you see they're banging the table, turning their head away, looking away, you can end the meal. So some days meal times will be 5 minutes, some days 10, some days 20. You do not need to sit there for 45 minutes. Then you know you're trying to force them and get them to eat. So let them feel in control, let them enjoy it, and remember that they're getting all their calories from milk. So it's very normal to just have kids eat 1 or 2 bites. So don't worry about quantity. Think about them building that skill.